Hello everybody, welcome back. Tropical update number 53 on Category 2 Hurricane Larry, just downgraded from a major hurricane, which is the strength it's been for quite some time. Newly formed Tropical Storm Mindy, that was Invest 91L. We'll talk more about that. Tropical Storm warnings in effect for parts of the Florida Panhandle, and another area of interest coming off the African coast. No threat to the United States with that one. But again, there is, of course, tropical storm warnings in effect not only with Mindy, but also with Larry. We'll begin with Larry because that's been our biggest talking point for about the past 2 weeks now. Larry now wins 110, doesn't have a cleared out eye, but still has an eye feature, as we can see here on the satellite presentation. Again, that tropical storm warning for Bermuda, it's going to pass by. Strongest wind's going to be tomorrow afternoon for that island. Hurricane force Larry is going to make its way towards Newfoundland, and there we could see hurricane watches if the National Hurricane Center thinks that Larry will remain at hurricane force by the time it gets that far north as it begins its extratropical transition. So we'll continue to monitor Larry for threats to Atlantic Canada. Of course, surf up along the entire United States East Coast as it stands right now. That'll begin to increase for Nova Scotia and Newfoundland as it gets closer to those areas. Then again, as I mentioned, potential watches and warnings down the line for those islands as well. Probably not Nova Scotia, but potentially Newfoundland. So again, we see a weakening Larry making its way up towards Newfoundland. We'll continue to monitor that. Again, Larry's no huge threat to land, no Ida, but that's kind of where we're at the moment. Mindy's also no Ida, but still 2 to 4 inches, isolated 6 in terms of rainfall for the Florida Panhandle, southern Georgia, and South Carolina. We see it making landfall overnight tonight into tomorrow morning along the Florida coast, where tropical storm warnings are in effect from Mexico Beach, Florida, to the Steinhatchee River in Florida. So again, that's where we're at the moment. Again, not a beautiful satellite presentation. We can see it a bit better on radar, where that eye-like feature, if you will, it's not an eye, as we can tell on radar, or on satellite, it's not an eye. But where that stronger convection appears on satellite, just south of that is where we do have the center of the storm. And I mean, it doesn't look like much. It's a rainmaker with a little bit of wind. That's kind of what we're dealing with Mindy. And so that's kind of where we're at the moment. Again, no strengthening, or at least no significant strengthening before it makes landfall here in the next 6 hours or so, somewhere along the Florida Panhandle. Again, we really didn't have a center on this till about an hour or so ago. Right now, the center's located off of the Big Bend, about due southwest of where the Big Bend's at. And she aligns pretty well with those dynamical models up in the upper part of the screen, not so much. Perhaps more of the southern tier of those European models in the center of the screen. But again, that landfall point, again, the watch and warning for most of the Big Bend. And so that's kind of where we're expecting landfall, near where those dynamical models on the top of the screen are indicating that we may have landfall. We're also having an area of interest off the coast of Africa. Tropical storm watches and warnings could be required for the Cabo Verde Islands with this storm. Again, it's going to be a quick former, much like Larry. It's going to also turn up to the north. In fact, very quickly it will turn up to the north. It won't get very far west before it turns north, which is kind of surprising. Odds from the Hurricane Center currently at 20%. With this one, next update from them will be at 8 p.m. If you're along the Florida coast, just continue along the Florida Panhandle, southern Georgia, southern South Carolina. Continue to monitor the progress of Mindy. Again, it's not going to be a hurricane, but it's still a tropical cyclone, something to keep our eye on. As we look for the next week, again, Larry up Newfoundland, Bermuda, and of course the United States East Coast getting swells from the storm. And the Cabo Verde Islands, parts of Africa, and maybe even the islands just off the coast of Europe need to be paying attention to the progress of that tropical wave coming off of Africa. And again, we see little activity here in the far western Gulf along Mexico and Texas here around a week from now. And so we'll want to keep an eye on that as well. That's all for now. Chris Sixton and for Catholic Media.